He's a presidential candidate and has arrived on the biggest political stage of all, Barack Obama. But there is a question mark looming over his chances. His skin color, his visions for peace, his avowal of liberal Christianity. 95% of Americans believe in God, but in the last two general elections, the votes of the conservative Christians in the US managed to get George W. Bush into the White House. Throughout his election campaign, Obama has come across as relaxed and entertaining, human and eloquent.
After visiting 48 states and speaking to hundreds of thousands of people and shaking hundreds of thousands of hands and kissing hundreds of babies, I am here to report that my bet has paid off because the American people have had enough. They are ready for something new. They are ready to turn the page. They're ready to write a new chapter in American history.
We're on our way to Barack Obama's headquarters in Chicago, Illinois. The city by Lake Michigan is the home of the senator, his wife and two daughters. Here in Chicago is where he began his career. After majoring in political science at New York's Columbia University, in 1985 he took on a job as community organizer in Chicago's South Side, in a neighborhood with a predominantly black population. It wasn't until 3 years later that he went to Harvard Law School, returning to Chicago as a lawyer in 1991. He also taught at Chicago Law School before being elected to the Senate in 1996. Today, Brandon Love works for the Developing Communities Project, or DCP, where Obama was once the director. He would have been able to get a better paid job in downtown Chicago, but he wanted to work here in one of the city's deprived neighborhoods. 95% of the population here are black.
It's amazing because some of these houses were like some of the most beautiful houses in the city. You can drive down one block and actually see that, although this one's not too bad, the number of houses that are being boarded up. I mean, the economy is so bad that people can't afford to pay their house notes, and people are leaving and being forced to move. And there's a boarded up house there. There's another one right there. It's a huge house, and nobody's living in right there.
America's banking problems in early 2008 is a current reason for the crisis, but the people on the South Side have been fighting for survival since the 80s. They're still working on the same problems Barack Obama was trying to fight as a young social worker.
As you see, this neighborhood needs a lot of stuff. I mean, other than just, money to sink into the economy as well, we also need schools and safe neighborhoods for our children and after-school activities for our children to do, so they won't get involved in those gangs or the drugs or the alcohol use and that sort of thing.
Southside's decline began with the end of the steel industry. For a long time, African Americans were welcome workers and were able to earn good money. But when the companies outsourced to low-wage economies, all they left behind were their old factory buildings and the African American blue-collar workers. A frequent sight on Chicago's South Side are families having a garage sale, selling their possessions to earn some extra cash.
Not a lot of jobs, not a lot of fair opportunity, that type of thing.
They're putting all of their hopes in Barack Obama, the man who was once their community worker and could soon be their president.
Say hey.
Obama, he's going to be good for America. He's going to bring a lot of change, and hopefully he can bring some jobs back and bring stability back into the United States. All these foreclosures of the houses, homes going on because there's no jobs and everything is so high. Taxes is high, gas is steady going up. So
I like Obama. I like how he talk. He sound like a man all about change. That's what we need, change.
Which would be the most important change for you?
Jobs. Give us some jobs over here.
Poverty in America mainly affects African Americans. Many live in ghettos like the Chicago South Side. 40 years after the assassination of Martin Luther King, the United States still has racial problems. Nobody in Washington wants to know about them. Anyone who mentions racism is considered a troublemaker.
Let me just say this, Mitchell. I am reminded every day of my life, if not by events, then by my wife, that I'm not a perfect man. I won't be a perfect president. But I can promise you this. I'll always tell you what I think. I'll always tell you where I stand. I'll be honest with you about the challenges we face as a nation. And most importantly, I will spend every day working hard to make your lives better. I will think about you when I'm in the White House.
Michael Evans is the director of the Developing Communities Project on Southside now. It's the same job Barack Obama had 25 years ago. The modest office is located in a former church. That was already the case in Obama's day.
Well, I can show you, but it's a little different from when he was actually here. We didn't have these cubicles up. These actual cubicles were put up about 10 years ago. He actually sat here. It was a different desk, but this is the area he sat in. And so you can imagine all these cubicles were gone. It was just open space. He sat in this area here.
Time does seem to have stood still a little in this communities project. Desta Houston was already an assistant here under Obama.
He was a very good, nice person, very energetic, outgoing, and he made you feel comfortable, you know.
Was he a tough boss?
Oh, no. No, he's a very good boss.
Loretta Augustine conducted the job interview with the young graduate 25 years ago. 10 church communities were searching for a community organizer prepared to work for a pittance of just $1,000.
Oh, he's so smart. And he is. He's absolutely brilliant. And he was always brilliant. The part about it is that it wasn't the kind of brilliance that beats you over the head like I'm so smart and you're so dumb type thing. It wasn't.
Everyone here has always had warm feelings for Barack Obama, who's now a US Senator. Michael Evans remembers the occasion in the 90s when Obama, studying at Harvard Law School at the time, came to visit his old place of work.
And I said, people I met in Artgill Gardens say that one day you're going to be the President of the United States. And he just laughed and laughed. And he laughed so much that it brought attention to people in the restaurant were looking over at us because he thought that was funny. And then he said, well, you know, I really appreciate people thinking that of me, and I'm humbled to think that people think that much of me, but there's no way I'd run for president. No way.
But now he does.
And now, 18 years later, it's amazing. And of course, at the time, I couldn't see that. But I could see that he was a dynamic young man, and he could possibly do anything he wanted. And I even mentioned to him, if he thought to run for mayor, count me in, you know. But that was 1990, so.
And you are proud?
Oh, I'm very proud. The whole community is proud. I mean, you know, he used to be the same. He's the same guy that walked the same community that we're in now, and he. A lot of the leaders in our community today found their voice or their leadership determination from being around Barack Obama, and he literally energized this area.
Loretta Augustine, who employed Obama when he was in his early 20s and worked with him, says she knew then that he was capable of achieving great things.
It was something about him. It was something about who he was, what he was, the way he was, that, you know, just, you could see it. You could just see it, you know.
Loretta Augustine is just a single picture from that time. In those days, Obama still stood in the background.
Another member who worked on school reform. Everybody asked me, they want me to put my hands on very tangible things that you can see and that he did. Well, he did this and he did that. That's all well and good. That is not the greatest thing he did. Yeah. It doesn't even come close to the greatest thing he did. The greatest thing he did was organize and train and empower people. The bottom line is this: if you are not building an army of soldiers, so to speak, to address issues in the community, then it becomes, when you leave, who carries on?
Now Obama wants to take the participation concept from the Developing Communities Project and apply it on a national scale.
I will spend every waking moment trying to make your lives better, but let me tell you, I need something in return. I need you to participate. I need you not just to vote, but I need to get your friends to vote on Tuesday. And even after you vote, I need you to be involved in the campaign. I need you to pay attention to the debates. I need you to follow the issues. We need an engaged citizenry in order to bring about the changes that are necessary in this country.
The improvement Barack Obama worked for in Chicago 25 years ago has not yet taken place. The people of the South Side are still fighting to catch up with other parts of the city. Just a few hundred yards from the DCP office is a subway station on the Red Line. It's used by around 1 million people every day.
This dot right here represents 95th Street. It's the last stop going south. It's the end of Chicago. It's very difficult to get down to where the main areas where jobs are.
Hundreds of thousands of people live even further south in neighborhoods called Calumet City and Altgeld Gardens. But they aren't serviced by trains. The terminus of the Red Line is a symbol. Beyond it is the beginning of the no man's land that is Southside. Barack Obama tried to get the train line extended 25 years ago, but nothing has happened. As a senator in Washington, Obama managed to raise several $100 million for this project. But the city of Chicago can't or won't contribute its share for the subway extension into the ghetto. That's why the people of the South Side stage demonstrations from time to time. They have to take matters into their own hands. They have learned this from community organizers such as Barack Obama.
That work was change, and he was able to, for lack of a better word, sell change.
Already that time
even
was
then,
the key word.
Even then. And so he was able to sell the fact that, and sell may not be a good word, but he was able to get people to demonstrate that we don't have to keep things the way they were. It could change, and the change happens because you, the people, want it to happen.
The Developing Committees Project is still working with this concept.
The fact that he didn't do it for us. He showed us how to do it. He made it possible for us to address these issues ourselves. The skills that he taught me, the skills he taught us, I have used for the last 20 years. I can address my own issues. I can resolve my own issues. I know what to do. I know where to go. I have a right. I feel my power, my strength.
I had confidence in the American people. I am convinced that the American people are tired of a politics that's all about tearing each other down. They want a politics that's about lifting the country up. I think the American people are tired of politicians that are all about spin and PR. And they want straight talk and honesty from their elected officials. And most of all, I believe that the American people are tired of being divided. They're tired of being divided by race, they're tired of being divided by religion, they're tired of being divided by region or even by party. I believe that when blacks, whites, Hispanics, Asians, Native Americans, young, old, men, women, when we come together as Americans, there's no problem we can't solve, there's no destiny we cannot fulfill.
Obama wants to win over everyone. It would be risky if he were to appear to only represent black interests in his election campaign. African Americans are putting their hopes in him because they know that he is familiar with all of their problems.
Probably gas prices. You know, being as though Barack Obama comes from a society that really came from nothing, he would probably get those gas prices back down, and that's what really America wants right now.
Put more jobs out here, more jobs, better homing for the poor.
Actually, the war. You know, I think it was a war that we should have never been fighting, and I would like to see our troops come home. But not only to come home, what would they be coming home to? You know, they need jobs, they need places of provision, places to live. How are they going to be rehabilitated?
Many veterans of war end up literally on the streets, like this former hero from the first Gulf War. Another terminus in the south of the city.
Hey.
Alcohol, drugs and violence. These issues already plagued the area 25 years ago, and to this day the Developing Communities Project is working to solve these problems. They also aim to teach self-determination and get people into education to give them better prospects for the future. That's why Brandon Love visits schools and youth centres.
Education.
The children are supposed to find out for themselves which rules are important to them.
See a few more acceptance.
That raises the odds that they will obey these rules.
Peace.
I don't want to be a homeless person.
Okay, I'll put that on there too. Homelessness. Good. Which ideals are important to you?
After a year, they can assess how they're doing with their goals.
Fitness and freedom.
Okay, good. What commitments do you have?
Brandon Love is interviewing 11-year-old Phil. He doesn't want to take drugs, he says. He expects his family and his father to support him in this.
Who will support you with your commitment?
My dad and my family.
And do you have any advice to any other students that you want to give to help them keep their commitments?
Well, no, not really, but.
Well, what would you tell somebody else that had the same commitment that they said they didn't want to do drugs? How would you help them keep that? What would you say to them?
Don't do it. Don't do drugs.
All right. When they get older, they'll be put in different pressure situations, and those commitments that they make to themselves are going to be the only thing that will really keep them from using drugs or using alcohol and tobacco.
So it's an idea about empowerment, I think.
Yeah, it's all about empowerment. And what we need to do and what we are doing is giving the kids of our community the tools that they need and empowering themselves to be able to do what they need to do so when they become adults, that they would be responsible adults and be able to function in that capacity.
It's early on a Sunday morning. We're in an industrial area. Here, one of the many booming churches has set up in a former warehouse. The congregation of this Baptist church are celebrating the service in a relaxed and joyful manner. This congregation is one of the 10 churches that originally participated in founding the Developing Communities Project.
Mr. Barack Obama had his roots and his start on the 4 South side of Chicago in this organization called DCP. And now as we reflect back, it becomes historical because of what he did and what he's doing right now. We intend for him to take that same initiative throughout this entire country and boost in the hearts of the people that we can make it, we can survive if we stick together.
Besides 2 services, this church has more to offer than your standard Sunday school with Bible studies. It trains volunteers to help their communities with first aid, for example.
17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Now remember that you have to do this until emergency help arrives, okay? But if they don't arrive soon, then you have to do the minimum of 5 sets.
Graduate from the 8th grade.
At the same time, next door, a job interview training session for girls is being held.
So that they can make sure you stay on track. Once they take their hands out, Sometimes your counselors and your teachers...
In order to get hold of a job in downtown Chicago, the girls from the ill-famed South Side have particularly many hurdles to overcome.
And be the best that you can be.
We are the body of Christ, united together, and we make up what's called the family. And as we come together, we believe our communities are families. And in our families, we have a unique responsibility to that family to make sure it receives and have all the benefits that it needs in life.
Then it's time for the second Sunday morning service. In his sermon, the pastor addresses concrete problems such as the threat to the environment caused by the American way of life.
We are living in a diverse times where trouble on every hand. We have storms in one area. We have droughts in other areas. We have floods in other areas. And a demonic spirit is plaguing our land.
These Baptists are more than convinced by Barack Obama. Some even see a kind of Messiah in him.
He first hears the voice of the Lord, and he makes decisions based on what God has given him before he brings it to the people of the United States.
I do believe that. I think that he was a man that was just dropped into our midst just 6 or 7 years ago, and I don't think that this could have happened by man. I do believe that this is the plan of God, that this man will be the leader of this country.
There is a roaring trade in devotional objects going on in the rooms of this church, although it is actually prohibited to campaign for a political candidate in a church in the United States.
Where's the Barack Obama baby? The one with Barack Obama on it? I got it with me. Oh, my word.
I think he's the man for the job. He's sincere, he's genuine, and he's for all the people.
All the buttons I buy, I sell, I get $1 or so, and so does he.
His skin color makes Barack Obama the man in whom African Americans have put their hopes. For most of them, he is the candidate.
So many difficulties and so many different personalities out here that are against a black man being a president. So therefore, I keep him up in prayer and pray that God will cover him with the blood of Jesus.
20 years ago, Obama had himself baptized in the United Church of Christ. Conservatives now accuse the church of being a slave to Obama.
The fact is that the values, the public policies that we have supported around issues of poverty, the environment, foreign policy, we've been on record for a long time around these issues. So to the extent that we're consistent with the issues that we've been advocating for a long time, I think we respond to those questions and those allegations. And we press Senator Obama where he differs from us, just as we would press Senator McCain.
In summer 2007, Barack Obama was received by the church's synod as a member of their family, as the church president said. In his speech, Obama told the story of how he found his way to this church when he was a young lawyer.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Slowly, I came to realize that something was missing. That without an anchor for my beliefs, without a commitment to a particular community of faith, at some level, I would always remain an observer. I would always remain apart. I would always remain, in some sense, alone.
Obama was a member of the Trinity United Church of Christ in Chicago. But when his pastor, Jeremiah Wright, was accused of preaching anti-American sermons in the summer of 2008, Obama distanced himself from these messages and left the church. Jeremiah Wright, however, still wants to support the politician.
The day after he was inaugurated, I was asked in a public forum at the Massachusetts Conference of the United Church of Christ, what advice would you give to Senator Obama? And my advice to him is the way I want to introduce him to you. I said I would tell him today to be the same Barack that I've known for 20 years.
Jeremiah Wright openly calls America racist. That could have become candidate Obama's death warrant. he had to take immediate political action in order not to threaten his ambitions.
Senator Obama, of course, remains a Christian and will be seeking another church home, and we would very much hope that he might find another United Church of Christ congregation to join. But I think we also understood that as a politician, as a candidate, he couldn't afford to be vulnerable to additional surprises from the pulpit at Trinity Church and needed to create some distance.
It's very unlikely Barack Obama will choose a new church until the presidential campaign is over. That has the advantage for him that he can gather votes from members of all the different Christian churches.
He will be the president.
You're sure?
Yeah.
Germany's Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier has been confirmed as the party's candidate for chancellor to stand